Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. C King says, Ndu, Sasa.
Poa sana.
Very, very good. Our next guest is the senator. We'll be talking about accountability in courts. Of course, we know right now as we speak, there's a matter of accountability in courts that before the Senate. The plenary of the Senate is today going to sit again and make a decision on whether to uphold the impeachment of the deputy governor of Kisii County. Sindio? Okay, the matter is before them. We'll not really engage him on that. Wakili Samson Cherargei is the senator for Nandi County. Okay, how come you never told us how to properly spell your name, Cherargei? Tunaka chi mingi na ina chi.
It depends on what you are doing with it.
How do you do it? Officially, how do you spell your name?
It is GEI, but you know, people who register names try and do their own things. So
so when you went to get the ID,
they misspelled it.
They put a K.
They put a K
instead of a G.
Instead of a G. So that is, but anyway, we live with it. Choices have consequences.
That mistake is not life-threatening.
Yes.
Something you can weather.
Can live with it. Yeah, but you're a lawyer, but this is something you can just rectify.
No, but they always, if I need any, I normally use, what do we call, affidavit in case of anything. So it's not a big deal as much as it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the birth certificate has the K?
Yeah.
And the ID has a K?
Yeah.
Okay. So what a payslip your bunge has a K?
I have not checked it. Maybe I will check later. I have not been very keen
on the payslip.
Yeah. Because there is nothing on it, so why would I?
City?
Yes.
Why don't you give the senator the day's proverb?
Yes. For the whole of this week, our proverbs have been from the Republic of the Seychelles. Okay? Now, today's proverb is an interesting one. Yeah. Simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. Opportunity does not wake up those who are asleep.
Opportunity does not wake up those who are asleep. What's your interpretation of this one, Senator?
No, I think what happens is you should go for what is in life. You should remain focused and steadfast. And they know that opportunities come once. And come once and rarely. So you should always work hard and strive to achieve each and every morning. Because they say the early bird catches the worm. Is it the best worm or something like that? So I think he's right, and it's a challenge. But wanasema ile maana ya juu na maana ya ndani is similar, but maana ya ndani ni muhimu sana, because it is a principle that you should always be on lookout for opportunities and work towards achieving it. Yeah.
You are the vice chair of a crucial Senate committee.
Yes.
It's a Senate County Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
We know the one in the National Assembly. So they look at reports from the Auditor General and see, so how is the executive performing in terms of financial and other propriety. What does the one for the Senate do?
Understanding orders of the Senate, and of course, you know, standing orders originate from the Constitution of Kenya, Article 125, Article 123, the decision of the Senate, and of course, standing orders are based in the Constitution. One of the committees that we have in the Senate is County Public Accounts. In the last session, we used to have County Public Accounts and Investment, but we have divided. The County Public Investment looks at special funds and water funds, like for Nairobi Water, Education Fund, Emergency One, among other, under public investment. On County Public Accounts, it calls at the county executives' financial reports, both the county executive and the county assembly. Because in this issue, the county assembly never used to appear before the Senate. Especially to look at the financial reports. The financial report we are looking at the moment, although we are behind schedule, is 2021-2022 financial year and 2020-2021 financial year. And maybe for Kenyans to understand, the review, the parliament must look at the latest audited accounts that determine under Article 210 allocation to counties. Number two, so ours is just to look at the financial reports for the executive and the counties. I think the National Assembly is similar. We have, these reports are normally supplied by the Office of the Auditor General, which is a constitutional office. We look at the financial reports, look at the recommendations of OAG, and then we give them a chance to mitigate, the chances, because the process of auditing is done even 3 months into the new financial year, looking at the mitigation effect that the counties have done. For example, if an audit raised audit query, for example, maybe value for money, or they were non-provision of spending vouchers and many others. Now that is a chance they appear before the committee. We look at it and then we table our reports before the Senate. Of course, the National Assembly one tables and then we make appropriate recommendations. The only challenge is that this committee comes in as a mortician. We are more of trying to find out what killed the patient. We can't resuscitate. That's the problem, because we make recommendations when money has been spent, and I think that has been the challenge, because many people ask where was the Senate, where were the oversight committees when maybe money was misappropriated, when the accusations live and ready center of corruption allegations. So ours is just to come and make recommendations, but that recommendation again is being made to other committees. When the Senate adopt that report, we can recommend that Governor XY should be prosecuted or should be investigated. Now the EACC and DCI picks up. The challenge we normally have with these agencies is there are many allegations where they go to bed to some of these accused people, because when they get recommendations, they go back, and you know how Kenya operates, and 15 years down the line, no one has been successfully in senior position, especially in county governments, that has been prosecuted. It's only small fish. I used to remember there was a DPP who used to say he was coming to fry big fish, but he ended up frying omena, or he fried nothing at all. So that has been the challenge. You find accountants, directors of procurement, chief officers, CCM, small people, and even there is an amendment, just a snapshot. There is an amendment under County Governments Act where we are trying even to look at the possibility of the impeachment procedure bill, so that MCAs have power to impeach some of the CCMs. I know they have done before, the county executives, they have done before, but we are trying to clean up the legislation so that it becomes easy, even for the governor and the county assembly, to ensure if CCs do not perform their functions. So ours is just to be a mortician. We look at the report, we listen, we write the recommendations.
Go, Senate adopts a report. Many times people have actually said this public accounts committees, both at the National Assembly and at the Senate, are just huge laundromats. Kuja hapo, mosho moja, story na kufa. This is where the matter just comes and dies. The Auditor General presents a report.
Correct.
And the report is detailed.
Correct.
These are the queries that we raised. This is what we have found. This is a matter that needs further relooking. Then the Public Accounts Committee seats, summons the people who've been mentioned in that. You ask questions, you appear to be tough, and then you write a report, and then the report recommends further action, recommends further investigation, and then you say, from there, we are like Pontius Pilate, sisi kasi yetu tumemaliza, now it's somebody else to take it up.
Beyond reproach.
And the matter dies there. You're looking at the 2020-2021 report in the year 2024.
We don't. The OAG is doing a good job, but now because of how Parliament operates, we went break for an election in 2022. Our committees are organized. For example, like for the next 2 days, we are not able to sit as a committee because we have impeachment proceedings that is ongoing. Other incidental matters always arise that affect the program of the committees, like recess, like many others. But I agree, as a parliament, we are not doing enough. Because even we were blaming the other day the National Assembly for, out of 4.1 trillion Kenya shillings, they wanted to allocate counties 395 billion Kenya shillings or thereabout, where we propose 415 billion Kenya shillings. Now, the point is, they argue that the latest audited accounts are as per the constitution. But when you look at the last audited accounts, it's still many financial years far behind. And therefore, people will ask, why is it that the national budget is 4.1 trillion, but when it comes down, the counties do not have, are not given commensurate to 4.1 trillion, and the argument will be, say, latest audited account. So even as a Senate, we are doing far much better in terms of looking at the audited accounts under the financial year under review, as opposed as to the National Assembly, because they will always argue that looking at 4.1 trillion, around 500 billion thereabout should be going to counties, which should be doing a lot. On the issue of Auditor General's office, they are doing a good job, even the controller budget, because the disbursement, the tracking, and you know they have been working hard, especially when requisitions are made through the CCMs and spending. On OAG, you know, the process of audit is not just auditing financial statements and other aspects. The Auditor General does what we call forensic audit, which we sometimes recommend. I remember we visited Isiolo. We have visited to look at the status of projects among other counties. We have even recommended before that they do forensic audit with an intent for prosecution. Number two, there is also what we call special audit. And you remember during COVID funds, the Auditor General did refer for special audit. Then there is what we call IT audit, where you know counties nowadays have what we call using technology to correct funds. Like here in Nairobi and the rest of the country, we always sometimes order, and I agree with you, the parliament has so much immense powers, and that is why we sometimes even direct OAG to do IT audit on maybe collections and many other audit with a few. But you know the problem is the architecture and design of our law is that parliament do not have prosecution powers. People argue that parliament becomes a laundromat or mosho moja, but they are not looking at the law, the constitution.
So then, Senator, so I think that's the issue here, because, okay, so here we are, because we did see, I mean, I believe in the clip that we saw, it was yourself, it was Senator Kajwang and then Senator Sifuna, who obviously saw that there was an issue in a particular county. Between Turkana and Isiolo, remind me which one it was.
But we have gone to Turkana and Isiolo. The latest one was Isiolo.
It was Isiolo, actually.
Yes.
Whereby there was clear complaint from the people of the county.
Yes.
In terms of what should have been done.
Correct.
Vis-a-vis the amounts of money that had been sent to the county, and obviously money that had been spent. So the visits, I believe, are actually quite beneficial, because you're able to actually see what is happening, as opposed to a report in Nairobi, as helpful as it may be. But then I think that the physical viewing of things makes a difference. What stops that from happening on a regular basis? Because like you say, if you're looking at reports from 2021 and 2024, you're looking at history. Right. So in 2024, one could say that worse things are happening. Right?
Yes.
But it will not be looked at until 2027.
Or 2028.
Or 2028.
Yes.
So can Senate, as an oversight body, then even perhaps do a lot more of what is being done today, as opposed to waiting for these reports? The reports, like I said, I believe are good.
Yes.
However, in terms of being proactive, for even light to be shed on some of these things that are going on, is it not important? I'm going to keep going back to this picture this week.
Yes.
I must. Because this is the picture of a school in a county in Kenya, for which, in my opinion, if oversight was being done properly, perhaps we would know the situation on the ground for real.
Yes.
This is in Kilifi County, for which there's a senator, there's a governor, or there was.
MCA.
There are MCAs, there are members of parliament.
Chances are even in your county there are schools like this.
Of course, there.
Right?
In Nyira,
They're there. So what happens? I feel it's a very comfortable position whereby these reports are waited for. But I'm very happy to see Senate going out to these places.
Correct.
My question is, what happens now that you have seen? I heard the three of you specifically talk about looking for prosecution on matters like this because it is criminal.
Yes.
Yourself and Senator Kajwang said that.
Yes.
what can we actually see to make sure that Senate just is not we go, we see, and then we forget about it. We tell a different story tomorrow.
Thank you for that. I think that's a written of questions. One is, I agree, after visiting Isiolo, we have received a lot of requests across the county. And when we updated, you could see people are saying, when are you coming to Mombasa? When are you coming to Garissa? When are you coming to Kisumu, to Nandi? I think we as a committee, we have taken note. But also the same thing goes back to resources. The committee, to go around the country, they must get allocation from the spending within the Senate. And we have told the Senate Business Committee and the Speaker to ensure the CPAC and CPAC are allocated more resources so that they are able to go to Mashinani. And when we went to Isiolo, it was an eye-opener. We saw a stadium that is yet to complete. The contractor has abandoned site. You go to the market within it, the contractor had abandoned site. The county assembly chambers, the contractor was not on site. The county headquarters, we were locked out. They ensured we didn't access. And those are challenges. And also, these people also inside the public, you could feel there was a lot of tension within the town. And it was within, we went even to a dispensary where cows was staying, and it was almost collapsing. And it is not only, even when we went to Turkana, you could go to an irrigation field, the money has been spent, but there is no irrigation going on. You remember a story of even some county in Mount Kenya East where a governor bought fingerlings and went and put on a river which is moving. and those are some of the challenges that we are saying. It becomes a very serious issue where people, and counties nowadays, in fact, for example, Kajiado, they are doing their job which is not theirs. They are building toilets in a primary school. They are building boarding school, primary school, a function that is not theirs. The county should only do ECDs and TVETs, the vocational training centers. But you find counties are doing the work that does not belong to them.
Why?
For example, I don't know, and it is illegal. And we have told the Auditor General, these are audit queries that we have raised. They have always been sanctioned that they should not do, because they have not provided bursary, they have not provided water, they have not provided feeder roads. Those small roads in the villages belong to counties, and it becomes a challenge.
Yes, they are digging pit latrines.
Yeah, in Kitengala Primary School. The question is, another challenge, as my sister said, is recurrent expenditure. What is choking counties, and we have invited a number of counties, is our counties, we have done them to employment bureaus. For example, my county, which gets 7.5 billion, uses 4 billion in wage bill. So what is choking counties is also wage bill and wastage expenditure. I know most of the time we discuss national government as wastage of expenditure. For example, I saw a county, it belongs to a friend of mine, I don't want to mention, he might take an offense. He was having a meeting of Nairobi professionals who hail from that county. And Makiu, the vehicles that were parked at KICC, because I saw with my own eyes, was more than 100 vehicles that belong to county.
From the county? From the county.
So you can imagine the fuel that has been used, the drivers that came, the per diem that will be used. So the challenge also, the issue of wastage expenditure, and I thank the Auditor General, Nancy Katungu. She has been very professional, just like Ouko, by bringing out audit queries that you sometimes wonder, why do we devolve? And that is why even today, I'm told, I heard when I was coming in, discussing about the impending strike of doctors across the country. You argue that on the issue of health is fully devolved, for example. But now you find a governor allocates 300 million for health budget, but they imagine that it's not becoming serious. They cut it down to 50 million in a supplementary budget.
Before we take a break, Senator, I just want to pause and tell you. So yes, the Auditor General and those working in her office are doing a good job, like you've said.
Correct.
The controller of budget and those working in her office are doing a good job.
Correct.
And they produce reports and they show you where the red flags are.
Correct.
They are supposed to produce the reports. The consumer of that report, according to the law, is Parliament.
Absolutely correct.
The one to act on the report, according to the law, is Parliament.
But it is a multifaceted approach.
And then now, after all that good work has been done by Nancy Gathongo and her team, it comes to Parliament, it dies. Are you not letting down professionals who are working on this and the country.
No.
Because when you come here and you tell us, counties are employment bureaus, counties are
yes.
counties. What have you done about it?
I can tell you, and I will invite you to look at the recommendations we make. There are many reports that we have filed. I've told you, we make only recommendation. If the Constitution...
You oversight the executive.
Yes.
You oversight constitutional offices.
Correct.
You oversight independent offices.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So even when you've made a recommendation and said EACC investigate, you have power of oversight over EACC.
Agreed.
And you can summon them and said, we told you as Parliament to investigate matter X.
Yes.
How far are you?
Now I agree with you. In Parliament, although we don't have in Senate, there is what we call implementation committees that follows on the implementation on the recommendation. But as a Senate, there was a recommendation to establish that committee. I think National Assembly was led by Jeremiah Kioni in the last session. So I agree with you that we need to follow up. But our aspect is to make recommendations. But to follow up, for example, the issue of fraud of first choice allegations in Eldoret, where the Labour Committee of the Senate made recommendations that refund should be made. Up to today, no one knows whether the money was refunded. Yet we made recommendations that refund should be done and prosecution should happen. So the question is, we have an obligation at Parliament, I agree, to follow the implementations of the recommendation through a committee. But in the National Assembly, I think it was there, I don't know whether this session they have it. In Senate, we are trying to establish an implementation committee so that when we make recommendations, we are able to do. And JLAC, for example, I have also opportunity to invite EACC and DCI to ask on the status on the fight against corruption.
As things stand,
yes,
Parliament is not fully doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Definitely, because
things stand, right?
As things stand,
because when you make a recommendation,
yes,
and then you forget and close that chapter, a recommendation means that matter is still open.
Of course, it is still open, and it is still very active.
So all those recommendations that the Senate has made, as long as they are not closed, they are still within Parliament.
And that is why, under Article 2265, some governors are happy that recommendations were made and nothing has been done. Under 2265, they bear the personal responsibility, even after leaving office, especially for people who hold executive decisions. So the Constitution in itself also, even outside Parliament, even if a governor or a senior public official has misappropriated financial impropriety with the organization they run within the government, the Article 2265 of the Constitution 2010 will kick in and ensure that person bears the burden of legal responsibility for violating either in governance and even in terms of financial misappropriation. But I agree with you that Parliament, we have not done much, especially in ensuring that accountability and transparency of the resources that are devolved, both at the national and county. I don't know, because EACC or DCI or other agencies feel that they have no obligations to follow. I think they normally see recommendations from Parliament as a love letter or to them, because they have never taken serious. Because yes, I have never seen EACC, for example, saying National Assembly Committee on Health or Senate Committee on CPAC recommended for Governor XY to be investigated and prosecuted.
Senate is not even powder soap. It's sabuni ya kupanga. Sabuni ya kipande.
So, Senator, I think here we are, because I think there have been several recommendations that have been made.
Correct.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Correct.
But a recommendation remains just a recommendation until something happens to it, until it becomes an action. Are we saying then that Senate is powerless beyond recommendations? Because you go, you see the problem, you say this has to be done, but then we have things that are hanging in recommendation limbo for years, until the folks who know that they're in the wrong also know that actually, nothing will actually be done. Nobody will hold us to account because the recommendations are there just hanging.
That is the aspect of principles of separation of powers, because also you could imagine if Parliament was given power to investigate and prosecute. That's another challenge. I think it boils back to values, societal values in terms of transparency. Do people agree being transparent? Do people agree to be accountable at personal level? The biggest challenge, and I think, is we make recommendations, but I agree with you, oversight is beyond the audit that we normally see through the Office of the Auditor General. I have seen where we did a visit, what we call social audit, where you go and ask wananchi, do you think this project iko sawa? Munaona much? For example, like Garissa, Tana passes through Garissa County. 100 meters from where Tana passes, there is no water. And yet there is what? So the question should be, funding has been allocated. And you remember when we had 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote, 1 kilometer. And I know the people from your region were saying, let's give money where people are.
Yes.
So, but you find most of this, and you know now another aspect we should do is lifestyle audit. We expect EACC to be doing lifestyle audit because some of us file our returns. I know this one is uncomfortable to everybody across board, especially when you talk about lifestyle audit. Because somebody is elected as a governor or a CCM, they like, for example, some CCM drive more big cars than myself. And these are people who earn 250,000 per month. You can imagine. So the another issue is we should look beyond the recommendation by doing lifestyle audit. We know even allegations where some governors have property in Nairobi, have even houses, others are buying in Kilifi.
Dubai.
Yes, Dubai and many other. Of course, even some national government officials. You know, at that point, you know, it is about does it mean, for example, EACC, which their work is to investigate, to prosecute, are they doing their job, the DCI and many others, or are they becoming lapdogs of individuals, sorry to use that word, for individuals who want to do what we call aggrandizement of public resources?
Yes.
And therefore, counties, I can tell you for free here, most of our county governments are crime scene. You should not cross where we put, this is police line.
Yellow
Please
tape.
don't, yes.
Okay,
because
so
when we went and saw those projects, yes, go ahead.
Senator,
Yes.
a crime scene.
Yes.
Imagine a crime scene.
Yes,
Right?
Yes.
Somebody's dead.
correct,
There's blood on the wall.
correct.
It is an abhorrent thing to see.
Agreed?
There's death.
Yes.
There's destruction.
Yes.
It is so bad that the police say, don't cross
Cross.
here because we are trying to figure out what is going on so that we can get the person.
Correct.
And Senate is seeing crime scenes everywhere, every day.
And not even
it's
putting
okay.
tape.
Now the question Kenyan should have, and I don't know, this will be very interesting because of architecture and design of democracy. Should we be given power to investigate and prosecute?
Yes.
No.
Aye.
No.
Yes.
I say no.
What is the way forward?
we,
Unajua
the
nyinyi
people
ndio
of Kenya.
wananchi sasa.
Listen.
Let's
I
do
think-
public participation.
I think you should be
Go
given
first,
power.
City. Go first, City.
Yes.
You see, everything that the wonderful senator from Nandi has said has had to do with the limitations that they have and the mandate that they have. And he continues to talk about the limitations. And I kept asking myself, are you saying none of these things can be changed? Are you saying that these things are cast in concrete for eternity, that nothing can change? That we cannot, for instance, prosecute and look at the accounts of just 2 years ago? Must it be 4 years prior and so forth? Now, when it comes to the ability to prosecute, why I'm saying they should be given the power is so that complaint comes to an end. That we cannot do this. We cannot do this. We cannot do this.
Nonsense, City.
Please, elaborate on the
The
nonsense.
Constitution has given immense power to the legislature. Immense power. These people represent us. These people write laws. These people
Lawmakers.
oversight. Okay?
Yes.
By oversighting, you oversight anyone. Parliament has power to summon even you, City. You hold no public office, but Parliament can summon you today.
Really?
to
Yes,
appear
yes,
before
yes.
it.
Under Article 125.
The immense power that
In fact, we
Parliament
have summoned
has.
one of the witnesses in the ongoing impeachment trial.
See, the power that these guys have is immense. The investigating authorities have been created and they have been established and given the resources
Yes, agreed.
to do their job. Specialty investigates. Parliament allocates a budget to them, appropriates a budget to them. We give you all the facilitation you need. In exchange, you shall come to us and account to us how those resources have been used to do the job that we've given you to do. The people who they are answerable to are us through Parliament. Okay?
Correct, because
so,
we are representatives.
By extension, Parliament has investigative powers.
But
by extension, Parliament has prosecutorial powers by extension. Because today you can summon the chair and the CEO of the EACC and say, we recommended this. Give us what is the status of this.
Can they also summon the Chief Justice?
The Article 125 says any person, including the president.
Any person in the Republic of Kenya.
That's where I was going.
Yes.
Including the president.
Yes.
Okay.
It says any person.
In the interest of separation of powers, of course, they'll not summon the Chief Justice to ask, so why is the judiciary not jailing, so and
Correct.
so. Okay. But
yes,
in terms of, because she is accountable for the judiciary fund,
yes,
they have the powers.
They have the powers.
Judiciary, come here. We have allocated you.
But we don't
15
summon,
billion.
we invite. You know, when you use the word summon,
because you're equals.
Under Powers and Privileges Act, it means they have committed an offense, which is not fair. So what we are saying...
So you have powers. Basically, my argument is...
I agree with you largely. I agree with you, Eric.
When you make a recommendation...
Yes.
And you say, DCI, police and EACC conduct ABCD in furtherance of this.
Yes.
You have directed them to do it.
Correct.
Yes, they are not supposed to take directions.
But you know, the law says DPP
you are
cannot be directed.
You are not directing them.
Yes.
But the fact that you can summon and say,
we recommend.
How far are we?
Yes.
It means that basically you have something, you have a leash on them.
Correct.
So, Bana,
what I'm saying, I agree with you, Eric, with your principle of thinking. That we have powers, but I agreed at the beginning of this discussion that we have not done much. I agree totally, and that's why I started saying we are morticians. We come in when things have gone haywire, because now we come in when roads have not been done, funds have been misappropriated. I agree with you that the question should be, what are we doing to ensure the recommendations are, for example, EACC follows up, DCI follows up. You know, when you talk about DPP also, DPP has a role to play, because after all these files have been investigated, they are now taken for EACC, not this DPP, to now see if the prosecution or the file meets the certain threshold. But I agree, the only person, another I wanted to add before you gave me that very serious reasoning, is the control of budget. Let me use Nandi. The control of budget can assist us. You know, we have power even to direct COB to stop remitting funds to a particular county, as you have said, if, for example, declare crime scene.
Right.
The parliament has power to even direct COB not to remit money to a county X because of financial misappropriation or not complying with the laws.
And have we ever seen that done?
It has never been done. Number two, my county the other day, the governor wanted to use, you know, when you are getting special funds, you use what you call special purpose account. Yeah. Under the Education Act, they had not complied with COB. The COB directed that the requisition of 90 million by Nandi county government through CCM Finance and the governor for bursary disbursement be stopped until they comply with the law. So apart from making recommendation, we don't know, because now we are conflicted. Because today if we say Turkana is a crime scene, when we went there, we could not account where 100 billion went.
Yes.
In the last 10 billion. So for example, the Senate today recommends that we don't give money to control to Turkana County. What happens? We are conflicted because what will happen to the drugs in hospital?
But they've not been there for the last 10 years anyway.
They have not been there. But you know, you don't throw the water and the baby and the water. Is it the bath, water and the baby? Because now, my colleagues, the challenge has been, if today we say don't give money to Nairobi, money is not given to Nairobi. What happened to the people who depend on this money that we send, for example, the bursaries, even if out of 10 Panadols, the county gives one. What happened to that one? So now we sue at the better evil. Yet we have those powers, I agree, to direct COB to stop funds to a particular county for not following the financial propriety. So I agree with you that Parliament has not done enough. I am not disputing that. And it looks now that agree, number one, that we need implementation committee to do tracking. If you look at the answer in the last session, I'm the person who spoke. when Lusaka was the governor and said, when this was speaker, is now the governor, that we need implementation committee to follow not only on what CPAC is doing or CPI. Even I've told you, Labour Committee made recommendations about agencies. For example, one of the recommendations was to find out these agencies that fly our children, have they complied with the law? So now we should be telling us, we went and look at the agencies 1, 2, 3 under the National Employment Authority. These have complied, these have not complied. So I agree we have a big problem because Parliament has not used its power maximally, optimally to the benefit of the people.
What prevents them from doing so?
There are many interests.
What do you mean many interests?
There are many interests because sometimes you as a committee, you recommend a certain governor to be prosecuted and investigated.
Senator,
the file is taken forever.
So are we saying essentially, Senator, what you're saying without saying it here,
yes,
is that, we don't want to ruffle feathers in the pursuance of the job which we are mandated to do by the people. We don't want to ruffle feathers. So we're going to take you're saying you'll take a softer approach to things because they're our friends.
Let me say without fear of contradiction.
Can I say
more than 3/4 of governors? More on 3/4 of governors.
Current governors.
Current governors
right.
And current governors.
Senators.
No, it's not used to be senators. You are distracting my.
Sorry.
Having sat with I've sat with county public accounts for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
More than 3/4 of governors in office should be in jail. Should be in jail. But those files are sitting with EACC, and I want you to invite the CEO of EACC here because he has an obligation to share what they are doing in the fight against corruption. Others are lying in the DPP's office. Is it because of political interest? Is it because of connections? Is it because they are politically right or wrong? Those that and all of us, unless you are new in Jerusalem, all of us knows that when you are on this side,
you're safe.
Your eyes are looked at blue-eyed eyes. When you are on the other side, your eyes are looking red, and what have you. So the challenge outside Parliament, there are so many interests that we continue to navigate through. Because sometimes a governor comes and maybe people think that he's in aligning with the politics of the day, so they are being handled with kids' club, have the recommendation, another one. And that is why it has been challenging to fight corruption in this country.
So essentially what we are saying really here is that the instruments for actually making sure that proper management, proper representation actually does happen at the micro level up until the macro, they are there. They've been provided. It can actually be done.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is that those individuals in those positions are playing checkers with the lives and livelihoods of Kenyans. That's what's happening.
And that is why I was talking about, is it values of the societal values? Is it our principle as a society, as a Kenyan society? Because when you talk about, you have said...
us into your failures.
No.
I'm
Kenyans
asking.
are here waiting for schools to be built, for goodness sake. And here you've just told a senator that, if you're on the right side, if you're the blue-eyed boy or the red-eyed boy, that's how you'll be looked at. Come on.
But that is the reality
that value
on the
system
ground.
is the Kenyans who are waiting for medicine.
But I agree with you that that's why I'm asking. We have the law.
Yes.
We have the infrastructure.
Yes.
We have resources.
Yes.
But why are we not ensuring that these things are being fought?
Yeah, why? Honestly, why?
As a committee, I can say, no, I'm not trying to exonerate myself. As a committee, we have done our part.
And which part?
And I wish in future when we table recommendation, I can be able, through your parliamentary reporters, you should even today ask your parliamentary reporters, can you look at some of the recommendations that have been made on these counties? We have done our part. I'm not saying when we have done our part, we leave it there. We have an obligation to ensure as leaders that we must follow through.
You have partially done your part.
We have not done
as
optimally.
Parliament.
I mean,
there is half empty and half full.
But Senator, do we actually elect you to do half the work that you are mandated to do?
Do we pay you half the money?
You have the salary for.
That is another question altogether. But what I want to agree with you, we have not done optimally. We have not done. We are not saying we have done partially, but we have not done, because I'm an optimistic person that believes in it. But we still have a big challenge, and I agree with what Ndu said that we need to move forward to mashinani to see some of those projects. I'm told even after we left, for example, Isiolo, they have started fixing. We went to a mortuary, and allow me to finish with this. In that mortuary, it's supposed to take 12 bodies, but at that time it had over 30.
What?
And then the cooling system was had collapsed, the 4 cooling system. So they are using alternative of preserving bodies. And when we stood there, the pungent smell that came from you cannot believe, even in my county, Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, rats were walking around the corridor, and you saw that video. It trended for some time. I know you guys are very keen. It shows that there is somebody somewhere sleeping, and I don't think, in my own opinion, as a champion of devolution, and I've always fought on the clawback of devolution, is I don't believe that we should be punishing everybody right and center. The intention of devolution was not to come and punish individuals who misuse devolution. And that is why today people are arguing that why don't we return health to national government? It is because the devolved units have failed to rise up to the occasion, and they are doing the wrong things. Because now wananchi don't have dawa, but the CCM and governor and everybody else is passing with big cars. SUVs. So where do we live as a role? And I agree that it is not only parliament that it is part of you. You must do social audit. You must ask questions. And another aspect, most of our people don't go to public participation. So sometimes you ask governors, why did you build, for example, in Nandi, why are you building an airport in Nandi, for example? The governor says no one came to the public participation, and I'm doing what I believe I factored in the CIDP. So I want to call upon Kenyans, whenever there is a public participation, even at national level, and we were in your place. Chemelil doing a public participation on the sugar amendment bill about the zoning issue. The farmers came. Many of them, and gave their position. I wish in future, whenever you do public participation, even here in Nairobi, I see people don't go whenever counties are doing their own budget support. So another challenge is wananchi should assist us on social audit, ask hard questions, and then participate in the public participation, so that we make a decision in everything. I know, for example, the only emotive one was affordable housing, where everybody showed up. The issue of health insurance showed up. Another aspects, because now as we do the reforms in health sector, we should think about our doctors. The strike has just begun. I'm yet to confirm, but I heard and saying that it began at 13, but I believe you, she was reading the news. So the issue, and by the way, I'm the one that presented the UHC interns petition at the Senate, and you can check out the answer. And I am the one who pushed, even we invited the CS of Health to come and sit. And her argument was that this is a joint effort between county governments and the Ministry of Health to ensure that UHC interns are being observed, because they have worked. Most of them used to work here in Port Health, in JKIA during COVID. How can we reward them? We must observe them under permanent patient, because these are the people, when we were hiding and wearing masks, even the powerful soldier was powerless then. These are the only courageous Kenyans and heroes who came out and assisted us in fighting the COVID. So I wish that they could sit with the government and agree to resolve that issue. But I don't agree where police are being used. I saw Daf Jatela, my friend, being clobbered. You know, I've been a victim of the police. So I don't want any Kenyan to go undergo, and I hope IPOA and necessary agencies should investigate and ensure that specific police officer who allegedly injured Daf Jatela should be face full prosecutions of the law, because we cannot allow the right to picket, the right to demonstrate as provided by the Constitution is a right for individual of any Kenyan. Even if you want to come and picket at the gate of SG, for example, here, or Parliament, or anywhere, you have that right. So I hope that is what is giving a devolution a bad name, where governors have failed to rise up to the devolved functions are provided by the 4th schedule. But as Parliament, we shall endeavor to do our best in terms of everything that comes, and pray for us.
Oh, we should pray for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that we have that energy and fortitude to bear.
People may offer different prayers. You ask us to pray.
Not the one that you pray in the courts of law.
People may offer different prayers.
Yes.
Senator, we thank you very much for joining us today.
It's always a pleasure.
And come again soon.
Yeah.
And let's engage.
I know next time we come, we will discuss the current affairs and other things that is happening here and there.
Even this is current affairs.
Yes. Of course, the issue of devolution is very important.
Very good.
And I still continue pushing. Finally, 2 things just in 30 seconds. One is that the issue of subsidized fertilizer, I think we want to, and I've seen the ministry has been very active, last mile distribution. We want to ask counties, governors wanted to purchase fertilizer, but I know that's why they are sabotaging last mile distribution of fertilizers. And finally, the issue of roads, of course, in Nandi, I continue to push that ensure the tarmac. And I'm happy the president did intervene, and we have sat down and agreed that those roads should be tarmac within Nandi County. But my push is still on. The fight is still on. And luta continua. And I'm not receding. And you remember in the last question time, the CS of roads was supposed to appear to answer questions concerning status of roads, KQ, and also Kerenga Yastip in Kericho, but he went MIA.
Spice up your life.
But because of impeachment, so next Wednesday I invite you so that you
will be watching what you'll be doing.
Yes.
Samson Cherargei, Nandi County Senator, has been our guest.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.